And sorry about that, without the sound there. And welcoming you into the Sports Roundtable today, and heading into a very important time of the year here for the fall sports season. We have entered into district tournament play for the state of Missouri, and we'll have some recap of those first round games from last night, and also getting into sectional and quarterfinal play for high school volleyball this weekend. Finished up district tournament play this last week, now into state tournament play starting this weekend, heading into the state championships, which are now held in Cape Girardeau at the Show Me Center, and that'll be taking place next weekend. So a lot happening this time of the year. It's bittersweet seeing some teams being able to pursue not only district but potential state championships and their runs throughout this fall, but also seasons coming to an end this fall as well, with all the volleyball and football teams and softball that is actually wrapping up this weekend as well. So it is a bittersweet time of the year. Season's coming to a close, but also teams being able to not only go after district championships, but potentially even state championships for high school athletics. And we're going to touch on all those district matchups and also the game that we brought to you last night here on YHC. And we're going to take a look ahead of what we're going to be doing in our district tournament schedule going forward, and potentially the games that we'll be doing right here on YHC. So let's go ahead and touch on the game we had last night that we brought live to you here on YHC. It was Newport over Piggott in a big 3A3 conference matchup. Last night in Northeast Arkansas, it was Newport defeating Piggott 35-8. And the Piggott Mohawks fall at Parker Field and Piggott last night. Very good Newport team. Newport's, I think, standing in at second place in the conference. There in the 3A3, Piggott was at third place. So Piggott trying to hold on to that third place, as that will give you a home playoff game in the 3A playoffs this year. Looks like they might go down to fourth place with that loss last night, but very good opponent in the Newport Greyhounds there in the 3A3. A 3A3 conference, very good football, and they'll be taking 5 teams out of the conference this year. And Piggott looks like they will be in fourth place after this weekend, but still in pretty good spot to get a playoff game this year in the 3A state playoffs. So we'll talk more about when you can watch that replay of Newport and Piggott here shortly. And also touch on the Rector Cougars down in Northeast Arkansas, getting a win over Mark Tree and a shutout 20-0. The Rector Cougars actually putting together a fine season this year. I think that goes up to 5 wins for the Cougars. They brought back that senior high program, probably now 5 years in of bringing that program back. They struggled for about 3 to 4 years, and this year they've really turned it around, and it looks like they will host a 2A playoff game in a couple of weeks if they secure a victory next week, which they are likely. I can't remember their opponent, can't recall, but they are expected to fare well against that opponent next week and host a 2A playoff game, which that's unbelievable. I'm not sure if Rector's ever hosted a home playoff game in the school's history. So look out for the Rector Cougars going forward, potentially hosting a state playoff game in Class 2A. And now let's move into our district tournament games last night here in Southeast Missouri, starting off with Class 1 District 1 in the first round, and HAYTI, the top seed, defeated Crystal City no problem, 86-0. You know, they came in averaging, I think, around 55 points a game, and they might be up over 60 now with that game last night against Crystal City. Just an unbelievable team there in HAYTI, and they could have probably easily put up 100, but just quite the talented team there in HAYTI this year. They roll on to the semifinals next week. Also, we got Valley Catholic, the 4 seed over 5th seeded Chaffee, 54-19. And, Valley moves on. And also we have Scott City, the 3 seed, takes on, defeated Portageville, the 6 seed, 54-30. And Portageville's season comes to an end. They matched up about 3 weeks prior, I think 3 to 4 weeks, and Scott City got a victory over them at I think it was 42-19. Portersville able to put up more points, but Scott City did as well. Come away with that victory, 54-30. And moving into Class 2, District 1, top-seeded Charleston survives East Prairie. 8th-seeded East Prairie, 44-34. 4th-seeded St. Pius X out of Festus defeated 5th-seeded Kelly, 18-14. Close one there. The Kelly Hawks close to a district tournament win after securing their first winning season this year, falling just short of St. Pius. That would have been a big win for Kelly, getting that district tournament win after securing a winning season this year, the first ever. But another a fine season by the Kelly Hawks, being able to finish with a winning record in their short program history. And the 2-seed Jefferson defeated 7th-seeded Malden 43-8. Jefferson over Malden. Malden season comes to an end. A rough year for the Malden Green Wave. I think they got 2 wins on the year. Just a tough year for the Green Wave after the run they've had. It's just one of the best runs we've ever seen here in the Boot Hill in high school football, and certainly came to an end this year out in the first round against Jefferson last night. Caruthersville, the 3-seed over 6-seeded New Madrid County Central in a rematch of last week's regular season game, and Caruthersville rolls 58-20. Caruthersville moves on, and New Madrid's season comes to an end. New Madrid putting together a better year this year. I think they got 3 to 4 wins. And they've struggled over the last couple of years, but put together a pretty good year this year over there in New Madrid in Class 2. Actually, they moved down to Class 2 this year, and just fell to Caruthersville last night. But better season for the Eagles for sure this year in New Madrid. And moving to Class 3, District 1, the Kennett Indians defeated the Doniphan Dons 41-6, as Kennett will move on to the semifinals. And 5th-seeded Potosi goes on the road and defeats 4th-seeded Perryville 17-14. And Potosi gets a nice road victory, and they will move on to take on Kennett next week. Park Hill Central, the 2nd seed, defeated 7th-seeded Fredericktown 48-10, as Park Hill Central advances on to the Class 3 District 1 semifinals. And the 6th-seeded Dexter Bearcats secure a road victory against 3rd-seeded St. Genevieve, 25-19, going into 3 overtimes last night up at St. Gen. And Dexter defeating St. Gen in a rematch of Week 1 in high school football. And Dexter only lost, I think it might have been 21-0. But Hillis, their quarterback, went out in that game, I think about midway through that game, and came out. And he's back with the lineup, including last night, and I knew it was going to be a better matchup this time for the Bearcats. The defense has been playing really well over the last number of weeks. They've gotten healthy. The main players have gotten healthy here at the last part of the year. So Dexter playing their best ball. It's exactly when they need to be playing it, right here towards the end of the season. Going on the road in St. Gen, always a tough place to play, and getting a victory on the road against St. Genevieve last night. Caleb Hoggard takes in, I believe, around a 20-yard run into the end zone to win it for the Bearcats in that 3rd overtime, and securing that victory for the Bearcats. And quite an ending to that game. Listening to the guys on KDX last night, the way that ended, Dexter scored, missed a point after, and then St. Genevieve scored and had a chance to win the game with just a simple extra point kick for the point after, and it was a high snap, got down, and got kicked to wide right, and St. Genevieve missed out on an opportunity. A simple extra point after would have won them the game, and vice versa. If Dexter would have done the same prior, they would have won the game there as well. So went to a 3rd overtime, and the defense came up big for Dexter. Then they got the ball back with the possession on offense, and I think just a few plays in, one or two plays in, I think it was Caleb Hogger running for a touchdown into the end zone. And what a game last night in St. Gen. Triple overtime as the Bearcats survive and advance as a 6th seed. We've only seen that a couple of times in the district playoffs, district tournament, as I think Kennett did that a number of years back. and ended up in the district championship there it was. But Dexter will advance on, and going to be an interesting matchup in the next round against Park Hills Central. We'll talk more about that in our next segment. But congratulations to the Bearcats moving forward with that big win over St. Jen last night. And West Plains, the top seeded West Plains in Class 4 District 1, defeated 8th seeded Cape Central 61-0. No problem for West Plains as they advance on to the semifinals. Cape Central with a difficult year this year. They've had a good run. They've been at the top of that district the last couple of years and found themselves at the bottom of it this year. I think they got one win on the year. Tough year for the Tigers, but you know, it happens after, you know, a run of good years. Going to run into a not so good year, and that was the year this year for the Tigers. But West Plains moves on to the semifinals. And 5th seeded Sikeston goes on the road and defeats North County. 4th seeded North County. North County got a pretty good team this year, and Sikeston got a nice road victory in a close one, 32-30, as they advance on to the semifinals. 2nd seeded Farmington over 7th Hillsboro, 54-43. The Farmington Knights advance on over the Hillsboro Hawks. And 3rd seeded Festus over 6th seeded DeSoto, 36-6. And the Class 5 District 1 first round, it was 4th seeded Poplar Bluff hosting 5th seeded Oakville, and they get a narrow victory, 36-33. And they will advance on to the semifinal round to take on the Jackson Indians. And a big matchup there. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. And that was the only Class 5 game. But moving on to some volleyball games. In Class 1 District 1 Championship earlier this week, it was 3rd seeded HOLCOMB defeating 5th seeded South Pemiscot. Believe it or not, a district championship at a 3 and 5 seed. HOLCOMB defeated South Pemiscot in 3 sets to advance on to the state sectional. So congratulations to the HOLCOMB Lady Hornets winning the district championship as a 3 seed. They're in Class 1 District 1. And in Class 1 District 2 up at Bell City earlier this week, Bernie, the top seed, defeated 2nd seeded Gideon and Risco, and that was in 2 straight sets as Bernie will advance on to the state sectionals as well. And in Class 1 District 3 up north, top seeded Advance over 2nd seeded Leopold, and that was in 2 straight sets. Advance moving on. And in Class 2 District 1, top seeded Malden defeated 2nd seeded Portisville in 2 straight sets as Malden secures another district championship. That's 2 in a row, I believe, for the Malden Lady Green Wave. And they will host the sectional later on today, which we'll talk about in a moment. And also in Class 2 District 2, got that right? Yeah, Class 2 District 2's 2nd seeded Bloomfield defeating top seeded Saxony Lutheran in 3 sets. And the Bloomfield Lady Wildcats will move on to the sectional round this afternoon. So an impressive run by the Bloomfield Wildcats volleyball team, getting that district championship victory over Saxony Lutheran. And in Class 3 District 1, 2nd seeded St. Genevieve defeated 4th seeded Notre Dame in 2 straight sets. St. Genevieve will move on in Class 3 District 1. St. Genevieve will move on. And in take a look at softball in the Class 2 semifinals, the Class 2 state semifinals in fall softball. East Carter County lost to Trenton 2-0. So East Carter County will play in the 3rd place game this weekend. And I didn't see who they're actually going to be playing, but we'll be facing off in that 3rd place game for Class 2 state tournament. And take a look at that replay. Manewport and Piggott, you can watch that replay this weekend. We'll have it this evening, Saturday at 6 p.m., also Sunday late afternoon at 4 p.m., and then again Monday morning at 10 a.m. You can watch the broadcast replay anytime right now on our Facebook page at, Facebook, on our Facebook page, and also on our YouTube page, and even yhctv.com. We'll have a full broadcast version available probably late tonight or early tomorrow for that Newport and Piggott game, but watch it here on Channel 21 at those times, and you can watch it right now on yhctv.com. And we're going to take a break and come back with some storylines from last night and a look ahead to next week in the district tournaments, and also a look at some state volleyball action taking place this afternoon here Saturday afternoon on the 27th. We'll be back with that coming up.
A Glenn Saint story. A few years ago, a good friend of ours ran for a state legislative office. The night of the election, Gail and I had some friends and family over. Our friend won. His young son looked at him and said, "Dad, since you won, does that mean you can make duck season longer?" That's a good story. Best price, best service. Glenn Saint, God bless our troops.
For the best service in air conditioning, it's AirTech Heating and Air in Dexter. They service both commercial and residential customers and provide additional services including plumbing, electrical, and appliance repair. AirTech is a Carrier factory authorized dealer, and currently Carrier is offering cool cash rebates, providing you extra savings towards a new AC unit. Served the area as a family business since 1960, now led by NATE certified Jason Johnson. He holds the highest certification in the heating, cooling, and refrigeration industry. Call today to get the expert service of AirTech in Dexter.
And welcome back and take a look at some headlines from last night in the area, starting off with the district tournament. District tournament matchups last night. The Dexter Bearcats defeating St. Genevieve in triple overtime in that thriller last night in St. Gen. And the Dexter Bearcats move on as a 6th seed. Very impressive finish for the Dexter Bearcats this year. And they have secured themselves a winning season this year as they move to 6-4, I believe. No, that's 5-4. They moved to with that victory last night. Well, they secure themselves at no worse than a 500 season. With that win last night, so Dexter finishing strong. They got a nice home victory against Park Hill Central a few weeks back, shutout victory over Malden last week, and then going on the road up against St. Gen last night, getting a nice victory on the road up there in the Class 3 District 1 first round. And now looking ahead to next week, they will take on Park Hill Central. A nice matchup for the Bearcats. As I said, they defeated them here in Dexter just a few weeks ago, coming down to the very end. And a nice matchup. Team that you've already beat. Going to be on the road this time, though, as Park Hills is the 2nd seed in the district. They will host the Bearcats up at Park Hills next week, next Friday night in the Class 3 District 1 semifinals. But if you're a Bearcat fan, Dexter's got to be confident. Certainly already a victory over Park Hills Central, going on the road this time up there, and should be a good one down to the end, much like that St. Genevieve game probably will be next week, as Dexter will be confident going into that game, as I said, as Park Hills getting a victory over their opponent last night, moving on to the semifinals. So we'll see what happens. We could definitely see Dexter perhaps playing a district championship in a couple of weeks. It's not out of the question at all, and it's certainly probably right at a 50-50 chance at least that Dexter have a good chance of moving on to the district championship next week, which it'll be on the road, as Dexter's going to be on the road throughout these playoffs. As in the other semifinal, it'll be Kennett and Potosi, and they're both higher seed than Dexter there as a 6th seed. So Dexter going to be on the road all the way through, but they've put together a fine season here towards the end. Got themselves a chance, a shot at a potential district championship matchup in a couple of weeks. So we'll see what happens. But that'll be the game to look out for. That'll be probably the game a lot of Southeast Missouri will be looking at for a potential, you'd say an upset, but, Dexter already beat Park Hills and looked really good in that game and really, matched up well against Park Hills and looked like the better team as well. So it'd be hard to call it an upset, but just by seeding 6 versus a 2 next Friday night in Park Hills, as Dexter will make the long trip, certainly, and look to knock off Park Hills in the semifinals to move on to the district championship in a couple of weeks. And top-seeded Charleston survived. Kind of a scare there against East Prairie last night. They won by a couple scores there against East Prairie and racked up over 300 rushing yards. One of the top rushing teams in the area. probably outside of HAYTI, of course, but Charleston, really good rushing attack for the Blue Jays, and they survive and advance to the Class 2 semifinals next week. We'll talk more about their matchup coming up in a moment. And SIKESTON goes on the road and defeats North County on the road. Tough game. North County got a pretty good team this year and got that 4 seed, hosted SIKESTON. The SIKESTON goes on the road, gets a nice victory on the road against North County up in Bonne Terre, and they will take on top seeded West Plains next week. They'll go back on the road over in West Plains and take them on in the semifinals. Be a very tough matchup. West Plains undefeated on the year so far, and West Plains certainly going to be the favorite in that one, but it's going to be a tough one for the Bulldogs. But survived last night with that win over North County, and moving on to the Class 4 District 1 semifinals. And now let's take a look at those district matchups going forward. We're in the Final Four for all the district tournaments, and in Class 1 District 1, the top-seeded and top-state-ranked HAYTI Indians host St. Vincent, as St. Vincent advanced on as a 5 seed. Actually, I had that wrong earlier. The scores had VALLE Catholic as a 4 seed. Actually, the 2 seed. There, as you see there, second seeded VALLE Catholic will host third seeded Scott City, and Scott City might have a shot there. Scott City's had a pretty good year, only a couple losses on the year, and one of those coming to HAYTI. And Scott City going to be on the road against VALLE up in St. Genevieve. So we'll see what happens there. Scott City might have a shot. VALLE Catholic not near as strong as they typically have been the last handful of years. As Scott City will go on the road. That'll be a game to look out for there next week in the Class 1 District 1 semifinals. And the Class 2 District 1 semifinals, top-seeded Charleston will host St. Pius X. And Charleston just surviving that first-round matchup against East Prairie. St. Pius could have a shot there. We'll see what happens. But St. Pius typically pretty strong. They've played in Class 3 quite a bit, but now moving down to Class 2. Charleston might have a tough one there against St. Pius next Friday night. We'll see what happens. And second-seeded Jefferson out of Festus will host third-seeded Caruthersville. So Caruthersville going to go on the road to take on Jefferson up north. And Caruthersville with a decent chance next week. We'll see what happens in those Class 2 District 1 semifinals. And the Class 3 District 1 semis, top-seeded Kennett will host fifth-seeded Potosi. As Kennett had no problem with Donovan last night, they will host Potosi in the semifinals next week at Metz-Cherry Stadium in Kennett. Kennett will have home field advantage throughout as the top seed in the district tournament, and they will host Potosi next week. And big matchup, as I mentioned previously, Park Hill Central, the second seed, hosting the sixth-seeded Dexter Bearcats. One of the games of the week next week. Upset potential there, even though Dexter's got the victory just a few weeks ago over Park Hill Central Rebels. Big matchup next Friday night in Park Hills, as Dexter will travel north to try to advance on to a district championship. And Class 4 District 1, the semis, West Plains hosts Sikeston. And Sikeston getting that victory over North County. Now they'll have a really tough matchup next week against West Plains over West. There, West Plains. We'll see what happens there. But West Plains having a very good year. 10-0 on the year now. And state ranked in Class 4 is West Plains. Also, second-seeded Farmington will host third-seeded Festus in that other semifinal. And the class, got about Class 5, but Class 5, Poplar Bluff will host, Jackson will host Poplar Bluff in the Class 5. The Class 5 District 1 semifinals, rematch of last year's district tournament championship between Jackson and Poplar Bluff. I was a little confused there. Jackson actually finished second to Fox, Jackson finished second to Fox in the district standings, but Jackson was undefeated, Fox wasn't. So maybe they matched up earlier in the year. That might have been why that Jackson jumped Fox in the district tournament. But Jackson will host fourth-seeded Poplar Bluff in the semifinals next week. That'll be a rematch of last year's district tournament championship. And Jackson's already got a a regular season victory over Poplar Bluff, so they'll definitely be the heavy favorite there up at the pit in Jackson. For Jackson to potentially move on to try to repeat as district champions this year. And then the other semifinal will be Fox hosting Seckman, and that other semifinal, the second-seeded Fox hosting third-seeded Seckman there in Arnold next week. And take a look at the volleyball matchups taking place today in the state sectionals. The sectionals and quarterfinals will be taking place today. And taking a look at those matchups in Class 1 sectionals, HOLCOMB will take on Bernie. And also Advance will take on VALLE Catholic in those sectional matchups. And that'll be starting at 3 o'clock this afternoon in HOLCOMB. That 3 o'clock matchup will be HOLCOMB and Bernie, and then following that will be Advance and VALLE Catholic. And then the quarterfinal matchup will follow after those two matches there between those four teams. So we'll see what happens there at HOLCOMB this afternoon, 3 p.m. HOLCOMB and Bernie and Advance and VALLE Catholic. And then the quarterfinals will determine who moves on to the state semifinals and at the Show Me Center in Cape Girardeau next week. And the Class 2 sectionals, Malden will take on Bloomfield. And that sectional matchup, also Arcadia Valley taking on Maplewood Richmond Heights. And that'll be this afternoon, 3 o'clock in Malden. Malden hosting the sectional, and that'll be a local matchup there. Malden and Bloomfield should be a good one there between those two. And then northern teams there, Arcadia Valley and Maplewood Richmond Heights will also battle out. And then the quarterfinal matchup will follow later on this afternoon in Malden. And there you go. Those are the sectional matchups. Don't really have any other local teams in Class 3 and 4 in the area. So those are the sectional matchups to look forward to later on this afternoon. So very exciting time. Teams will advance on. We'll see at least a couple of teams potentially in the quarterfinals today. As you see there, HOLCOMB and Bernie, either one of those will move on to the quarterfinals. And also Malden and Bloomfield. Any one of those two of those four teams could advance on to the quarterfinal round and potentially into the state Final Four in high school volleyball next week in Cape Girardeau. So we'll see what happens there in high school volleyball later on this afternoon. And we're going to take another break, and we're going to come back with some high school football, our high school football broadcast schedule going forward. We're winding down the season here on YHC with our broadcasts. Also, take a look at some college football and football previews coming up, or NFL football previews as well coming up.
At Ag Explore, we're farmers too. So we know that farming's never been a 9-to-5 job. Just like the farmer, we work overtime to bring you whatever it takes. Solutions like InZone help you retain 47% more nitrogen with an overall average increase of 12 bushels per acre. Imagine what InZone can do for you. Ag Explore.
When you connect with high-speed internet from New Wave Communications, you unlock all kinds of possibilities. More gaming, more streaming and viewing, more ways to keep in touch, more ways to learn. And best of all, adding New Wave Internet to your current television package won't cost a lot more thanks to New Wave's bundle discounts. In fact, if you're paying another provider for internet, switching to New Wave will probably save you money. Call or go to newwavecom.com to find more ways to bundle and save.
And welcome back, and take a look at your broadcast schedule here on YHC going forward. We've got one regular season matchup remaining on our schedule. That's down in Northeast Arkansas. And this coming Thursday night. We will have Corning versus Piggott. That will be Thursday night, as that will be live here on Channel 21. YHCTV.com and Facebook Live. You can look forward to that matchup Thursday night. They always wrap up on a Thursday night down in Arkansas with their regular season. That'll be a regular season finale for both of these teams, Corning and Piggott. That's the Rice Bowl, the annual Rice Bowl between Corning and Piggott. Clay County foes there in Northeast Arkansas. And we'll have that for you live right here on Channel 21, YHCTV.com, also on Facebook Live. You can watch that just as last night that we brought the game from Piggott between Newport and Piggott. We'll have Corning and Piggott this coming Thursday night live right here on YHC. So look forward to that as we'll bring that game live to you Thursday night from Parker Field in Piggott for the annual Rice Bowl. And the next night, next Friday night, we look to bring Potosi and Kennett in the Class 3 District 1 semifinals down at Metz-Cherry Stadium in Kennett, and we'll look to bring that live to you here on Channel 21, also at YHCTV.com and Facebook Live. So look forward to that as well. Next Friday night, there is a chance we might not, but it's about a 50-50 shot right now, but I think we're going to try to pull that off as we got some things going on over the weekend as well. So we will try to bring that to you, Potosi and Kennett, next Friday night right here on YHC. So look forward to that. And if Kennett will move on, we'll probably definitely bring that district championship game as well the following Friday night. So if Kennett has home field advantage throughout, so we're going to look to bring the semis and potential finals that Kennett will host. And you never know, we might have Dexter versus Kennett in the championship game of that Class 3 District 1 tournament. Very well could happen. So we'll see what happens, but we will plan on being at the Kennett semifinal game and potential finals that Kennett could potentially host as well the following week, as Dexter's going to be on the road, so it makes it very difficult to do it on the road at some of these locations. But Kennett, we will intend to bring those final 2 district games that they could host in the Class 3 District 1 tournament. And I never know, we might do some state tournament play as well moving forward, potentially there in Class 3 or maybe even Class 1. So we'll see what happens. But those are the games that we've got on our slate going forward. And take a look at some college football taking place today. Second ranked Clemson at Florida State in the ACC. 20th ranked Wisconsin at Northwestern. 9th ranked Florida at 7th ranked Georgia. Big SEC matchup later on today. Should be a good one. 18th ranked Iowa at 17th ranked Penn State in the Big Ten. 12th ranked Kentucky at Missouri in the SEC. 14th ranked Washington State at 24th ranked Stanford in the Pac-12. 16th ranked Texas A&M at Mississippi State in the SEC. 6th ranked Texas at Oklahoma State in the Big 12. And Vanderbilt at Arkansas in the SEC. Arkansas got a decent chance at getting a conference victory today against Vanderbilt. Arkansas only 2 wins on the year. It would be a nice win if they could get Vanderbilt later on today in Fayetteville. And our local team, SEMO, is on the road against UT Martin. They will be favored in that one. SEMO is 3-1 in conference play, and UT Martin's towards the bottom end of the conference, so a good chance for the SEMO Redhawks to get a road victory, conference victory against UT Martin, coming off one of their biggest wins in probably program history, especially in the conference, as they defeated undefeated Jacksonville State and a nationally ranked Jacksonville State team. So SEMO put together a fine year, going to have a shot at that OVC conference title going forward. And Arkansas State is on the road today against Louisiana in the Sun Belt Conference. So those are the college football games taking place today. And take a look at the NFL games this weekend. The Eagles at the Jaguars. I think that one's over in London, so you'll have to get up early for that one to watch that one over in London. Jets at the Bears. The Buccaneers at the Bengals. The Seahawks at the Lions. The Broncos at the Chiefs. AFC West matchup there. Redskins at the Giants in the NFC East. The Browns at the Steelers in the AFC North. And remember, Week 1, the Browns actually tying the Steelers in Week 1 in Cleveland. We'll see what happens this weekend in that rematch in Pittsburgh. The Ravens at the Panthers. The Packers at the Rams in LA. And Sunday Night Football rematch of last year's Minnesota Miracle in the NFC Divisional Round, where Stephon Diggs took a pass from Case Keenum into the end zone to win the divisional round to move on to the NFC Championship in a Saints heartbreaker. That'll be a rematch. Sunday Night Football on NBC in Minneapolis. The Saints at the Vikings. And also Monday Night Football is going to be probably a snoozer there. The Patriots at the Bills in the AFC East. The Bills, one of the poorest teams in the league, and the Patriots playing very well right now. And that one could get out of hand early there on Monday Night Football on ESPN. And those are the matchups to look forward to this weekend in college and NFL football. In the World Series, what a game last night, going into 18 innings. And I think it was Muncy getting a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 18th inning. Wow. So they pretty much put together 4 games already. That was game number 3. They pretty much put 4 in. And they had to go deep into the bullpen. And finally it came to an end. And it was 2:30. I gave up on it. Went to bed, and that was going into the 18th. Or I think it was going into the bottom of the 18th. So it actually ended that next half of the inning with the Dodgers finally getting a walk-off home run. And watching that game, it seemed like that was what it was going to take. And you could see the hitters. They were getting up there just swinging for the fences a lot of the times there, into the extra innings, because, they couldn't hardly get anybody on base. And it was dragging on, and a lot of guys were putting together some tough swings, trying to end it on one swing, and it finally did for the Dodgers as they narrow their deficit to 2-1. The Red Sox lead that series 2-1, and they're going to be back in action tonight. Back-to-back games there in LA, and it's going to be a tough one. But going in, that was a record 18 innings, unbelievable. So Dodgers get the victory, as they sure needed to at home and going that long. And the Red Sox, certainly they wanted to preserve their lineup. They went deep into the reliever. I think it was Valoa. I think it was going. He had approaching 100 pitches as a reliever. That was a tough outing for him to stretch deep into extra innings like he did. But entertaining series, that's for sure, between the Dodgers and the Red Sox. We'll see if the Dodgers can even that up tonight on Fox in game number 4. And that's pretty much going to wrap it up for today. We appreciate you for tuning in for the Roundtable today. Be sure to tune in each Saturday morning here on YHC, YHCTV.com, and Facebook Live to keep up with everything that's happening in local sports here for the Sports Roundtable. And we'll see you later on. Actually, we won't have a roundtable next week. Going to be out of town for the weekend. Next week, it was planned for a while, so won't have a roundtable next week. But I look forward to going forward as we enter into a very important time of the fall sports season here in southeast Missouri. So we'll be looking forward to another roundtable going forward. Hope you have a great weekend, and take care, everyone.